Alright, so this is the first time I'm going to be running the aeroponics garden since the pump and a relay broke down. And alright, I'll just give you a quick tour before I turn it on. So here is the reservoir tank, I suppose. It's got a pipe going up through here to my 160 psi diaphragm pump. Right, and then from there it gets pumped out through here. That thing over there is called a check valve, and it's like a one-way switch, or a diode, if you will, for water. Then we go into this big thing here that's called the pressure tank, and using the same electrical engineering analogies, this is like a capacitor or a battery, except for water. So it's still for water pressure. So you can fill up water and get it to like 100 and I think I'm running it at 110 psi right now, and then that'll maintain about 4 liters at around that pressure without me having to use the pump again multiple times. So I can just rely on this pressure and maybe go for a couple of hours instead of turning the pump on and off every 5 minutes. So it's very convenient. Anyway, right there beside it is the electronic pressure transducer, which is a fancy word for pressure gauge, I think. And it just has 3 wires that go into this plastic bag here, which has my what's it called, Arduino board and a couple of relays to run the pump and the solenoid over here. So here I've got a manual pressure release valve, so it just goes up to this ball valve here, and then it's fused down to this piece of wire. So I can literally just take this hose and point it outside and then twist this knob. And so if I ever need to relieve pressure and the solenoid's broken, which happened last time, I have a manual way of doing it now. So here's the physical pressure gauge, and it's, a mechanical pressure gauge rather. It's just at 0 right now, and the two of them together are about 3% off, I think. I'm relying on this one more. I think this one's more accurate, but that one, like, at 105 psi for this pressure gauge, that one was about 101 or 2 or something. So, it's a small margin of error, and I'm thinking of adding another pressure gauge, another electronic one, and averaging them out, so if either of them malfunction, I'll be able to know, because that's the main control for my pressure pump at the moment, and knowing the pressure is very important. Anyway, so here's the electric solenoid. It's got a flow rate control. I just twist that knob and it'll increase or decrease it. And over here it's also got a little knob that allows for manual release. I can just manually release the water, and it's connected to this 12 volt DC transformer. I don't know exactly. So I've just stuck the 2 wires into the end of this. Sorry, a little bit dodgy, I suppose. And then that's spliced at the other end with a relay connected to it, so that I can control that via Arduino board as well. And then it goes into this filter. The flow rate's going that way, and then into these 2 PVC pipes over here, which funneled through the bottom of my 2 barrels. So if I go inside, you can see that this is what the barrels look like. Each barrel has got 6 nozzles, 3 on either side, and a 0.2 of a millimeter wide each. And then I took off my cupboard drawer walls, or whatever they are, these 2 things here, and actually ended up having to drill a hole through one of them on 2 sides so that I could support this blue barrel and still have a drainage valve. So if I go below, and this is the same on the other side as well, you can just see there's this hole that goes from the top, and then at the moment it's just dripping down into here, which is a bit inconvenient, but I could get a pump to pump that water out onto the garden or something, and there are ways I can manage that, even just manually taking it out, because it happens so infrequently. Oh god, my battery's running down again. Alright, anyway. Yeah, so I think I'm just going to run this now to avoid battery cutting out and me having to refilm this again. So yeah, I've set it to go off and on every 5 seconds at the moment, and so you'll see it, spraying, and yeah. And it's basically controlled by the pump, so the pump will charge this tank up to 110 psi first, and then after that it'll just go on and off until it hits 90 psi, where the pump will switch on again and charge back up. And I forgot to mention one last thing. This thing here just leads into a little box that I've drilled holes into, and that has my humidity sensor. So I've drilled holes on either side to hopefully allow for a more realistic and accurate reading of the humidity, but I don't actually know how accurate it's going to be right now. I just don't want to damage it, because it's a live wires and it could corrode, and other things. So yeah, but anyway, it's all a learning thing. So anyway, I'm going to plug the USB in now, and it should turn on the pump. So yeah, and we have liftoff. And I'll just bring up the console, or not. I don't actually know which one of these it is. It's rather frustrating. Oh well. Anyway, sorry. What I neglected to show you was this thing over here that just shoots up to about 80, and then, I don't know if you heard the little tink noise earlier, but that was the pressure gauge over here starting to get filled up. So once it hits 80, it's fairly slow, and to get to 100 and, well, I think it might be 105 actually, I put it down a little bit, it'll just move at a snail's pace. Anyway, I'm going to try and prop that up and filming is not my expertise. Oh, it always makes me so nervous when this thing's going on. Anyway, I'm just going to pause the video for now and start it again when it's full. Right, so I managed to find the right console. So, oh god, there's a problem with using the Arduino timer with ints, I think. I don't know, it's something to do with millis, and there's a bit of overflow, I think, because for some reason Arduino ints only have 16 bits, so they only go up to 65k instead of 32. And I'm not sure if, although that's 4 billion, so I don't know. I'll work it out later. I'm kind of talking off the top of my head. I can't remember what the problem is exactly. But yeah, so you can see that currently the humidity's 58. Oh, the PSI is being read at 70, which is really, really not good. I'm going to unplug this because it's actually closer to 110. I have a feeling that the reason that the humidity sensor is so, the pressure gauge is so inaccurate is because earlier I had to make it reach quite some distance, so I soldered on about 1 meter of wire to each of the things, and I have a feeling that that's reducing the voltage. I don't know how much voltage / current drops. I don't even know which one of them it is that drops over distance. I don't know how much I know about this, but that would have an effect on the PSI reading from the pressure gauge. So anyway, given my code relies on the pressure to run it, this is rather bad, and I'm going to have to stop the video for now while I go fix it.